So we begin the meditation by choosing a comfortable posture and find the most comfortable posture, as comfortable as you can. And bring your awareness into your body. And just try to relax the body as much as you can. Before you start watching your breath. So we bring our mind to this present moment. So as we breathing in, we calm our body. Breathing out, we relax. Breathing in, calming our body. Breathing out, relax. Breathing in, we calm our body, and breathing out, we relax. As our body calms down and relax, and we start to feel there's some peace within ourselves. As our mind becomes peaceful, you can start watching your breath. Just simply watching your breath. we're going to end the meditation by counting 3 in and out breath.